Well, it's the same way Michelle Obama lectured America about health foods and grew vegetables in on the White House lawn, and then on the first thing they ate on vacation were big ice cream cones. I mean, where does the word hypocrisy come into all of it? Next question. Comment. Sacramento. Rhonda. Go. You're on the Savage Nation.
Andrew, what happened with Acorn, and did they get that $40 billion before they split into the smaller groups? I've heard that's what's happened.
All right. We'll take the answer off when you hang up. Andrew, where is Acorn today?
Yeah, the way my analogy that I use with Acorn is after you see Terminator 1 and the bad guy is destroyed and you know that there's going to be a Terminator 2. We're paying attention behind the scenes to what Acorn is doing. The sad thing about Acorn is that while it got nailed here in the United States, it's spreading internationally, getting a lot of words that they're up in Canada causing mischief. So they haven't gone anywhere, but a lot of their nefarious acts are being carried out by the SEIU, and another story that the mainstream media refused to cover was how the SEIU went to the actual house on the weekend of a Bank of America counsel who's actually a Hillary Clinton supporter, and they bust in 400 people to the front door and started chanting against the person on their private property while nobody was home except for their 14-year-old son of the bank executive. We reported that story, and the mainstream media ignored it. The mainstream media is the problem out there, folks, and the paradigm...
Absolutely. The mainstream media, the government media complex, is who destroyed this country and is about to break it over their knee unless they're stopped. We know that. That's why they hate us. That's why you've been picked on. That's why I've been banned in Britain. Andrew Breitbart, let's take another quick couple of callers here, 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Let us go to Mississippi. Mary, go ahead. Quickly, you're on the Savage Nation.
Do you think it's possible that Ms. Sherrod could have been fired disingenuously because they knew they would have to retract the firing and then they'd be able to undermine Mr. Breitbart's credibility?
Andrew, what do you think? You think it was a game?
I think it happened pretty darn quickly for them to think that way. I think that less than the race thing scaring them, I think that the fact that the Pigford settlement is there, and they turned her in a very short period of time in the mainstream media into Saint Shirley when the video that they're claiming extricates her from her problem. I mean, she's telling that you can't get fired from a government job. She's saying that anybody that disagrees with Obamacare is a racist. They're trying to make her out to be a saint. And today, her partner in crime, her husband, who is a community organizer in Georgia with her, is caught on tape at the realworldview.com, Dan Reel's blog. There's a very telling video about Charles Sherrod, who also got money in the Pigford settlement, in which he says, we must stop the white man and his Uncle Toms from stealing our elections.
That's my God. When the heck did this break, Andrew? Where can we all see that? That's the saint's husband?
Yes, you can go to Big Government. We have it, biggovernment.com. We have that link there. Dan Reel, the Wonder Blog, was able to find this video. There's another quote that he says, the tears that we've shed so many times when the TV and the newspaper comes out the day of an election or the day before an election and tell white folk all over, wherever we are running somebody for an office, that blacks are going to take that office over and thousands are coming to the polls and you got to get it. And so the mainstream media, Salon.com, wrote an article called The Civil Rights Heroism of Charles Sherrod, in which she writes, Andrew Breitbart sure picked the wrong people to symbolize black racism. No, I didn't isolate Shirley Sherrod or Charles Sherrod. They weren't on my radar screen. I was trying to point out that the NAACP was using race to divide the country. But now that you mentioned it, Joan Walsh of Salon, I would think that when a post-racial civil rights leader says we must stop the white man and his Uncle Toms from stealing our elections, that guy's got some deep-seated race issues.
All right, that's Andrew Breitbart. Now, we have a clip. Ray, we'll play the part you want us to hear. Go ahead.
We must stop the white man and his Uncle Tom from stealing our elections.
All right, there's the saint's husband.
We must not be afraid to vote black.
All right. We must stop the white man from stealing our election. So the whole thing is about, again, race and stirring up hatred and fear by the Obama administration in order to excite their radical left-wing base to once again steal the election in favor of Obama and his left-wing minions, in plain English. Next call, next case. New York City. Mary, fire away. You're on the Savage Nation.
Do you think that Obama is going on The View this week as a possible payback for his possibly asking The View last week to put on Ms. Sherrod?
I don't know, but I think that I'm not going to say I feel bad for President Obama because I believe that he's orchestrating the campaign to destroy me and my reputation. Make it a... Hello?
Andrew, you're fading, but what does it say, rather, about a president who would go on a show with such low-caste characters as the type that you see, a woman who in my day would have been working in a pickle store on Essex Street who they put on television? How in the world could a president stoop to such low levels as to go on a pickle merchant show such as this?
I find it to be a joke. He is really getting in the muck here, and I think he's going to a group of people that he's going to try and foment sympathy.
But you have a Yenta on that show, as I say. In my day and age, when I was in my father's store, Andrew, I grew up in another time. Women like her ran pickle stores. They wore dirty aprons and sold pickles. And yet she's on CNN. All right, they're entitled to an audience. I understand it. We live in an age of reality television, which is astonishing. But for the president to go on, in essence, a reality show and claim that that's journalism, and to attack a man like you who is the equivalent of the Pulitzer of our time with all of your breaking stories, tells us more about Obama than it does about you.
Well, for me, is not about Barack Obama. This is about destroying the mainstream media and its use of political correctness and double standards as a means to shut up dissent in this country. Shirley Sherrod wanted to shut down my website, biggovernment.com. That's the same mindset that you see on the journalists, the left-wing journalists who worked with academics such as a UCLA law professor talking about how they could shut down Fox News. I mean, these people have such totalitarian instincts. I don't care if it's Venezuela or Cuba or the mainstream media in the United States. People want to shut up dissent.
Andrew, last week you on Big Piece published several articles in my defense, and I have to bring this up. I'm sorry, because you're now touching some of the buttons that excite me. Do you actually believe I was picked on first? Because of what reason? Why did they choose me? Why did the man you mentioned earlier, Tom Podesta, and his group, because he once boasted that he worked with them, he was going to go after talk radio, blah, blah, blah. Why did they choose Michael Savage instead of Rush Limbaugh to ban in England? Why?
Well, I think that a tactic of the left is not just political correctness, which you're certainly a victim of. Also, the author, Mark Stein, has also been singularly set aside as a villain when, in fact,
wait a minute, but Mark Stein was never banned in Britain. Let's be clear about that. I mean, Andrew, let's be clear. He is free to travel to England. I am not.
I agree. I'm not comparing your plight. I'm just telling you political correctness is a component in the problem. But in the issue here, we're talking about moral relativism. And what they're able to do is equate the untold evils of radical Islam and the plots around the world and the people who are plotting to destroy Western civilization with a person who's who's using the free airways and the First Amendment in the United States to say politically incorrect things. For them to equate your free speech and your calls to the world to pay attention to a scourge that is expanding in the world, radical Islam, they are the ones that history is going to look upon terribly for what they've done to you. And Americans who may dislike you for whatever reason don't understand there's a huge principle here that they ignore because the mainstream media and John Podesta have had a campaign to marginalize you. It's because you're an effective storyteller and you tell that the American civilization could be lost in a nanosecond, just like Europe lost its will years ago.